Hi and welcome back to I Know Fact All About That. Today's topic is dreams, and before we get to the facts, let's meet the friends. To my right, she's every boy's dream. It's Brie.
It's like I genuinely have to yawn.
Sat across from me, he's dreaming of a dream lover, so he doesn't have to dream alone. It's Cam.
Hello. Good to be here, dreaming of a dream lover. That's great.
And to my left, it's the absolute nightmare that is Charlotte.
Hello.
Okay, and sat here proving that finding a themed t-shirt, it gets harder and harder every time. I'm Kieren. Okay, if you've been here before, you know the score. If you're new, I'll tell you what we do. There's 4 friends, there's 4 facts, there's 4
we friends?
lies.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
Acquaintances. 4 acquaintances. Okay. There's 4 lies, which we ferret out at the end. If you hear this noise,
Fact off.
then 2 or more people have the same fact and something special happens. It's as simple as reverse calculus. Okay, as we all start to fall asleep and count sheep, we should start with fact 1. Lucid dreamers have larger prefrontal cortexes. So lucid dreaming is the ability to be aware in your dream. So it allows you to control the content or some of the content of your dream. So you've got a waking-like consciousness while you're asleep. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain responsible for high-level cognitive functions such as planning, decision-making, and self-awareness. So the studies suggest that lucid dreaming may be associated with increased brain plasticity, see episode 2 on the human brain, and the ability to control one's consciousness. Another interesting fact about lucid dreaming is it can improve problem-solving skills, and you can actually teach yourself to lucid dream.
Interesting, but fact off. That's my fact off.
And straight away, we are into it.
I thought, I'm going to let you say this one.
Okay, do you have anything to add?
Not really. You really wrapped it up. Just that, not everyone can lucid dream, but that they found in brain studies that those who claim they can lucid dream, the prefrontal cortex is larger, as you mentioned, responsible for decision-making, high-level tasks, that sort of thing, and that it suggests that those who can lucid dream are more self-reflective types of people and those who perhaps overanalyze.
Yeah, I lucid dream a lot.
Did you teach yourself to
Are
do
you
that?
dreaming now?
No, you two are still clothed. And so are you.
I don't know how to take that.
Does that mean that teenagers can't lucid dream because their prefrontal cortex is not developed?
That's a really good point.
Or maybe
females could, teenage girls have got it. Teenage boys don't get it till 25.
Irrespective of gender, irrespective of your identity, that it's not fully developed till 25.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So
I thought that's what we determined in the brain episode anyway.
The old teen. Yeah, I must have missed that bit, and I'm just going back to anatomy.
How much of a fan are you of this page?
Come on.
Mate, I'm juggling a lot of podcasts at the moment.
Okay, so we got our first fact off. So Brie versus me, but because I wrote the questions, I'm going to choose a champion.
Ooh.
I'm going to choose Charlotte for this one.
Question 1. Which sleep stage is associated with dreaming?
REM.
Yep.
Everybody dreams.
Which of the following is not a common dream theme? Out of 4 choices: A, being chased, B, falling, C, flying, or D, eating. Which is not a common theme?
Disappointingly, eating.
Eating. Yeah, it is not. Both
Imagine
got
a
that
dream
one as
of
well.
just eating
Here we are, 2 apiece, neck and neck.
Number 3. All right. What is the term for a dream that is so vivid or realistic that it seems like real life? Okay, ready?
lucid dream.
Yay,
Lucid dreams.
yay.
Oh my goodness. Are we going to be able to divide them?
Jeez,
This
up
one
the
may.
ante, guys.
This one may. What is the name of the Greek god of sleep? Okay, there's 4 options here.
Good.
A is Hypnos, B is Morpheus, C is Thanatos, and D is Hermes.
This is a wild stab in the dark.
Stop trying to hit me and hit me. All right. All right, reveal your answers.
Hypnos?
Hypnos, not Morpheus. I wish it was
Morpheus
though.
is
Yeah.
Matrix.
But he's the god of dreams, though.
is he?
I think that's in some other religion that I've
No, I think
Forgotten
he is the
about.
god of dreams in Greek. Isn't that was the whole thing for Morpheus being in the Matrix? That
Yeah,
was
so
his
Yeah.
what was the question?
sleep.
I forgot.
The god of sleep.
God of
Okay.
sleep.
Wow, that's why we threw you a curveball.
Yeah.
So
Well-
Hypnos is Morpheus's father.
True or false? In the novel The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy Gale and her companions travel to the land of Oz in a dream. I would be absolutely cooked with this. I think I've watched it once as a child.
I've never.
The Scarecrow was like, ugh.
I blame the parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've watched it. You've never seen The Wizard of Oz.
I've seen sections. I actually played the Wicked Witch of the West in our Year 7 production.
I bet you were.
That
I
is
was
epic.
originally understudy and then I got the role.
But imagine getting a role. Getting a role that you just haven't seen a professional do. That's just the best.
I
You
made
also
it
play the
work.
Wicked Witch of the West. No context. Me. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Excellent.
I'm a doer, Cam.
That's it. Make it your own. Okay. How are we? We've got the answers. We're confident. Okay.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, reveal. You win.
Oh.
Now it's
Karen
one
and
apiece.
Dorothy.
We're even.
We're even.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see where we
So
get
what,
to at the end.
they went there for real life?
No, it was just Dorothy.
It was a tornado that took them to Oz.
Oh.
I don't think there
Of
is any
course,
truth
the
in any
others-
of that. I don't know. It's all confusing.
What do you mean he's not real?
What do you mean that was a made up story?
Beautiful. Well, at the end of that first fact off, Brie is on 4 and Charlotte is on 4.
What happens now? Fight to the death?
Fight to the death. Jelly wrestle. Okay, so let's go fact 1 from Cam.
Fact 1 for me, it kind of builds on the lucid dreaming concept. It's about sleep paralysis, everyone's most fun type of sleep, of course. What happens in sleep paralysis and why it occurs at all is because you're kind of becoming conscious, like lucid, at that point. So you're understanding that you're in a dream and that you're sort of maybe about to come out of a dream. But while you dream, there's very specific receptors that are switched off in your brain that actually paralyze you. That stops you from running. I mean, have you ever seen a dog dreaming and then just start running
yeah.
and jump up and get it? It's like the receptors aren't working too well on that doggy, right? So
It's usually a Labrador.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these same receptors seem to malfunction in people that obviously sleepwalk, right? So
Yeah, okay.
there's and it makes me wonder, and I didn't find any information on this, it makes me wonder if there is that connection between more sleep paralysis and people who do lucid dream a lot, like yourself, or also is there a higher rate of sleepwalking in those people as well? But yeah, so that's fact number 1.
Good. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost like a self-preservation thing because
Yeah.
if you were allowed to move about in your dreams and do what you're doing in your dreams, that wish fulfillment may become too much of a wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some,
I just stepped off the balcony.
hormone. I think a hormone releases it that sort of disables you to stop you acting out your dreams and
Yeah.
stabbing your partner when you're dreaming that they're cheating on you.
Which has actually happened in real life.
Wasn't that the whole pretense of
Sorry, I honestly thought that was a revelation then about Matt.
Oh,
he's in the wardrobe right now?
excellent.
Charlotte's like, that's happened.
It has happened, yeah.
So wait,
Isn't it the guy from Pretoria? What's his name?
Oscar Pretorius, the Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
The Blade Runner.
Is that his defense?
Dude, I don't know. This is not going to be G-rated if I Oscar Pretorius thing, but it was hilarious watching some of the trial footage. Like they were like trying to make him out to be like this. Like they're like, look at how defenseless he is. It's like, dude, he had a fucking hand cannon. Like,
Yeah.
not so.
And he's
Yeah.
also one of the fastest men on the planet.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Fact 1 from Charlotte.
Okay. Religions are actually based, well, they're built on dreams. And I'll tell you why. So back in the day before science and everything, when a person's normal understanding of the world was built on like superstition and survival instincts, they actually thought that dreams were a medium of communication between us and the gods. So you'd imagine, the chieftain's daughter has a vivid dream about, I don't know, their enemies sending a cow with disease. You can understand why that would be thought of as a prophecy. And so there's always been that like mystic element around it, I guess. So yeah, it would always be like considered messages like from the divine. So with that kind of mystical thinking in such harsh times. So you can understand how like Nordic and Druidic and even like ancient Greek and Egyptian and like Christianity and all that, that's all been based on these messages from God.
And to think I thought it was all real.
Well, you'd be wrong.
See, I think the thing about a lot of those older religions, right, and not to go down a deep conspiracy rabbit hole, which I will hold true to my heart that I believe, I think that there's that connection that is unanimous across a lot of ancient civilizations and a lot of symbolism that is very similar. And I think I buy into that narrative that you're saying. Not sure if it's true or if it's a fact or if it's a lie, but I buy into it because I think you can always talk to people. I think, back to the themes, like what are themes of dreams? And it's like no one has a dream about eating. So everyone has a dream about falling. Everyone's got a dream about being held back. And I think like it makes sense that a lot of people before there was a whole bunch of stimulation of stuff probably had very similar dreams that were very relevant to the environment around them, around the world. So it makes kind of sense because a lot of the symbolism across a lot of the ancient cultures is really, really, really similar.
But again, like that concurrent symbolism, that's based on people's surroundings and what they understood of the world.
Yeah.
So like back then, before they had any scientific understanding of anything, it was
the only reasoning.
Yeah, exactly. And our, the human imagination and our just instinct to try to understand everything using these divine messages, that's how they would fit things together. It was like, and
if there's a commonality between so many people having the same sort of theme, it's like, well, this must be the work of some deity. This must be an external force that has some sort of significance. So,
exactly.
You can understand the rationalisation, but they're all a bunch of idiots because it's not true. But that's my 2 cents.
Okay, so that is the end of round 1. Soundly asleep. Let's move on to fact 2. So my fact 2 is nightmares are more likely to occur when the moon is full. So the full moon, the light from the full moon disrupts the production of melatonin, a hormone that helps regulate sleep. Melatonin is produced in the pineal gland, a small gland located in the brain.
Whoa. This is PG.
And melatonin levels are highest at night and lowest during the day. That's why it's important to have a dark room when you go to sleep, your eye mask. When the moon is full, it produces enough light to disrupt melatonin production in some people. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. And nightmares occur during the second half of the night, during REM, and that's when the moon's at its fullest. So that's my fact. And that's where we think we get all of the myths from ancient cultures about the moon and stuff like that, because it was causing people to dream a lot more because of the melatonin levels, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sus on that one.
I'm sus on that one too.
I'm sus on that one.
You wait till you hear my other ones. you may go, that
You
full
just
moon.
give off an aura of sus.
Yeah, that full moon one sounds plausible.
Sounds plausible, yeah.
Okay.
Because if that wasn't a lie, I've got to really embellish and make my life sound a lot smarter.
No. Seriously, more nightmares get reported during full moon, and yet again, they're not.
Who are they reporting it to? Is there a nightmare commission?
There is a nightmare commission.
Oh, mate.
That's a lie. Because I'd be on it.
Let's move on to fact 2 from Brie.
Okay, this fact is definitely colourful. So studies have found that deaf people, see what I did there, have higher dream recall frequency, but also the colour, vividness and the spatial depth of their dream is usually amplified. So they're also reported to have higher rates of nightmares and lucid dreams. And if the person becomes deaf after the age of 5, there's usually some sort of auditory component in the dream. I guess it would be to whatever level, I think vocabulary-wise, whatever language level they were at the time of losing their hearing, but they have pretty intense dreams.
I wonder if that recall is there because they can't hear. So, but in their dreams, if the sensation of being able to hear exists, it's something that the brain grabs onto because it's a longing.
I wondered, they always say that when you lose one sense, the others are heightened. So perhaps their brains have developed, the plasticity has allowed for stronger connections in other ways to build that. I didn't read about any studies of the prefrontal cortex being more developed or anything, but it did say that they could lucid dream typically more, but everything was just stronger.
Okay, let's go to fact 2 from Cam.
Yeah, well, my fact is kind of like a pop culture fact. It's actually, so Josh Pike, who's a Australia singer-songwriter, absolute legend. If you're listening, Josh, big fan, wouldn't mind jamming.
Send me free stuff.
Yeah. So his debut album, the final closing song in his debut album, he wrote waking up in the middle of the night because he had heard it in his dream, and he grabbed the guitar that was next to his bed and he plucked away a melody and then wrote down what he could and what he could remember. And then he recorded it all that day. That day, got up, recorded the whole song start to finish, and then obviously, tweaked it a little bit when he did record it for the album. But it was all from a dream. And the dream was he was flying in a seaplane over Sydney Harbour, and he was just sitting alone on this plane, and over the intercom there was this melody playing. And so in the recording he does it's like a reverse loop of his guitar. And if you don't know this story and you listen to the song, you won't pick it up. But now if you listen to the song Monkey with a Drum, you'll hear this drone in the background, and it's the engines of the plane that he remembered from his dream.
That's really
Yeah. He is big brain guy.
Big brain guy. He falls into the big brain category.
He is big brain boy. Yeah, for sure.
I was just going to say, that's awesome you say that. So many creative people have had dreams that they've based their creations on. James Cameron, he had a dream about the Terminator.
Wow.
T-1000. Yeah, and it was something like, just this skeleton made of metal holding kitchen utensils, apparently. But that's where that came from.
So fact 2 from Charlotte.
Okay, I found this interesting. It was only sort of recently in the 19th century that people's perceptions of dreams changed. And that was with a good old Sigmund Freud. He came up and said, I don't think it's God speaking to you. It's all in your head. So I think we're pretty aware, he thinks that everything is either symbolic for your mother or a penis. So all of your dreams, rather than being, nonsensical, it's all based in your, what's the word I'm looking for? In your subconscious. Yes. And it was a way for your brain to express deep-seated desires that you're not allowed to project in real life. But he started the modern way of like interpreting dreams based on psychology. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah. And it really recently, more recently than I thought it would have been.
Yeah, I read his book for this podcast. It was like,
ooh. But like a lot of Freudian stuff, it's just nonsense. Like it's as nonsensical as the actual and unscientific as the stuff that he was replacing. So it was like, that's like, if anyone's like a Freudian slip, I get that, but I think it's more of a joke about like, it's in your subconscious. But like, yeah. I read a little bit on just facts. I didn't read his book. I think if I read his book, I'd probably just get frustrated after a chapter and go.
Well, 3/4 of his book is basically quotes from other psychologists.
Yeah.
It was like quote after quote after quote. This guy says this. I was like, what do you think, Freud?
And he's like, I think my mum always asked what the other smart guys think.
Yeah, and the last sentence in the book was like, it's about your mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love pretty much all of his research was done on patients and subjects, but they were all his psych patients. So they all had varying degrees of crazy in them anyway. So, but it's funny you say it was all it's all nonsense, because it was actually debunked and thrown out by, I think it was the UK, the American
The Nightmare Committee?
Yeah, them.
Told you they exist.
Commission.
Committee.
But yeah, they've been looking into like actual like the neuroscience and brain activity and stuff, which was my next fact. And yeah, their studies were recently brought before the big board of psychoanalysts, and they said, yep, that sounds solid. And they put it to a vote and said, yep, Freud's is out the window. It's bullshit.
That's good.
So yeah.
It's good that this exists. The Nightmare Committee, that is, excellent though.
Okay, so fact 3 from me is daydreaming and sleep dreaming both involve the activation of the default mode network. So this is a network in the brain that's involved in introspection, self-referential thinking and creativity. Additionally, both daydreaming and sleep dreaming can be used to process emotions and memories. And daydreaming is associated with increased creativity and can be used to improve emotional regulation. The average daydream lasts for around 20 minutes, and the average sleep dream also lasts for around 20 minutes. So there's lots of similarities between daydreaming and sleep dreaming. Do you daydream a lot?
Just when you said it leads to creativity and emotional regulation, I thought, yeah, that's why I don't dream. I'm well out of touch with both of those points.
What was that? Fact 3 from me, so fact 3 from Brie.
Okay, this fact is blindingly obvious. And it suggested that blind people have visual images during their dreams, but however, it can't be truly tested because if you ask a blind person, are you seeing anything? They've got no reference point. There's no visual memory to recall to say, you know, if you'd never seen a chair before and someone shows you the chair and say, can you see the chair? You'd be like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
However, brain scans of people who've been blind since birth show similarities in the vision-related electrical brain activity to those of sighted people. They also move their eyes in a way similar to vision-related electrical activity. However, they do it far less intensely as sighted people, which is to be expected. Their dreams are generally more intense, similar to deaf people with sound, smells and touch sensations. But, yeah, they can do it.
I was thinking this before when you were talking about the apple with blind people. It's like, although they can't visualize the apple, if they touch the apple and have an understanding of the shape of the apple, does that actually kind of form some kind of...
Some sort of connection, some neural pathway to identify that object. It won't be a visual component, but it will be a touch sensation. But it's said that we've all dreamt like people who've been blind since birth because the womb is dark. And so a fetus has no visual connection, memory connection to recall upon to base visual dreams on. However, there's light and dark. And that's what studies have shown blind people from birth are dreaming, and we've all done that when we were fetuses.
Okay, let's go for fact 3 from Cam.
Okay, so we kind of touched on like the inception thing, and I always wondered where it sort of came from. And so inceptophrenia, okay, is the medical condition where you actually have lost that gauge, and this is, I think, where maybe the A comes from, but it's where you've lost the gauge of are you in a dream state or are you in reality? So it's actually a medical condition. So I always thought that was wild, and we've been talking so much about lucid dreaming, and I'm wondering like how many people have inceptophrenia and they don't realise that they could be in a Nolan film.
Whoa.
Spin the top. Spin it.
Spin the top. Check for the A. Am I proving?
The most unsatisfying end to a film as well, when he just spins it. And I'm like, nah, that does nothing for me. Nolan, get out. It's like, this is a 3-hour movie and now I don't know if he's dreaming or not, and I'm never going to watch it again because of that.
Okay, let's go fact 3 from Charlotte.
So what modern scientists who are studying like the brain activity and what's actually happening with your brain waves when you sleep?
What modern scientists? Their names?
All of them.
Okay.
Dr. Hansenstein and Burden. Dr. Google.
High arms,
Dr.
high
Google.
arms.
But they think, just studying brain activity, they think that dreams are just brain buzz. Like when you sleep, what happens physically with your experiences and memories for the day, they're transferred from the hippocampus into other areas of the brain, which I can't remember the name of right now because I'm not a scientist. Anyway, so it's literally being transferred and processed from one part of the brain to several others. So because of that, your your visual cortex, which is what you see during your dreams, what manages that, it just captures all of these like replayed and processed images and sensations and stuff. And so that's why it's largely nonsensical, because it's just this mishmash of your experiences just being gone from one end of the brain to the other. So apparently don't mean anything at all. Oh, and also it's not just that kind of activity in your brain, it's anything else that's happening in your body as well. Like if you have a fever, your body's putting so much energy into fighting off the disease or the illness or whatever. So that intensifies your dreams. So yeah, anything going on in your body, it's just all the electrical signals which pass around and give you a dream.
I was reading about this as well, and you have external sensations that can trigger stuff, and also internal physiological things that are going on.
Physiological, that's the word.
Yeah. The fever dream is an interesting thing. Because I get hectic fever dreams.
Yeah.
But you know what my fever dreams are about? Maths.
Oh, you are dull.
No, it is so bad.
It doesn't add up, Cam.
Mate, this is the thing. I was rubbish at maths at school. Rubbish. And then had to do physics and stuff like that. Then at uni had to do statistics and kind of okay at maths and was interested, but not really. If someone goes, hey, do you want to talk about maths? I'd be like, mate, beat it. I'm trying to drift off to sleep and just my brain just keeps on doing random equations, and not the type of equations that make you money, equations that are
not Rain Man.
that are wait, if I'm how do I divide 42 by 6.5 or something? Why is that happening? And it's only when I've got fever dreams, and they're so shit. I looked up what fever dreams are called. I remember, not even for this, but ages ago, and I completely have forgotten it now. It's one of the things I didn't remember. But I hear that. It's just nonsense. Don't know why that comes to the front. Don't know why it's a thing. Maybe because my body's stressed out. It's what's the most beige thing that requires no anything?
Okay, so let's move on to the fourth and final fact, shall we? And just to finish you guys off, my fact is 38% of women have reported to have experienced a wet dream at least once in their lifetime.
Oh, 100%.
Compared to 83% of men. So a wet dream is also known as a nocturnal emission. That's the favourite word of the week, nocturnal emission. It's an orgasm that occurs during sleep. It's accompanied by the release of semen in males and vaginal lubrication in females. Wet dreams are most common during puberty and adolescence, but can occur at any age. Testosterone levels in both men and women control the frequency of wet dreams. And 4% of sex dreams in both men and women have resulted in orgasms. Plus, the average length of a wet dream is about 5 or 10 minutes. So shorter than a normal dream. Of course it is.
But a bit longer than in real life.
So testosterone levels, how? High testosterone levels?
High testosterone, yeah.
So
Testosterone helps.
Oh yeah, I understand all that. And as you're a teenager, it's just insanely high for guys. And it's you just got to wonder though, for females, because it's such a lower threshold for females. It's wild. I was completely sleepwalking through life thinking women didn't get this at all.
Well,
no.
Maybe.
The female orgasm is a myth.
But is it 38% of women? Does that sound right?
Sounds
What was the actual statistic? 38% of women.
So 38% of women and 83% of men have said they've had at least one wet dream in their lifetime.
I reckon higher.
I reckon that'd be sound. Based on nothing.
I reckon easily majority of blokes would have had one.
Yeah.
I literally have only ever had one in my life, and I was 14. I was what the fuck? Great. Woke up. That was a shock. 38% of women. That's it's fairly small, but I wonder what the percentage of women who
but at least
have a sex drive at that level. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so your guys' hormones are insane. They're just so insane throughout your life. They're guys are just testosterone goes peaked, gets a bit better, stabilizes, your balls are useless. That's literally, blokes are so simple, whereas women are 40,
but you
back down.
You got to remember that's only once.
Yeah, I just don't know. It sounds like it checks out. I don't know. As soon as he said 30%, both of you were yeah. And I was
at least. So you're saying 38% of women only have it one time that they recall.
No,
Therefore,
I've reported to having at least one.
At least one.
And 83% of men, at least one. Allegedly.
I feel like it would be more. But anyway, we're not at that point too.
I was just going to say, I wonder if people have tried to incorporate lucid dreaming with nocturnal emissions.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, if you could, yeah.
1,000%. Isn't that what tantric sex is? I'm just assuming,
no idea.
I'm just that whole thing, there's people that are and they're just staring at each other's eyes, and then they have it was great. We had a 4-hour orgasm, exhausting. one. But like, isn't that like what that is? I don't know. I'm not in touch with my inner chakras or retrograde Mercury or anything to understand.
that'll be
these
next
things.
time's topic.
Yeah.
What, tantric sex?
Tantric sex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Facts about tantric sex. Oh my God. This one's for those adults out there looking to spice things up with a bit of meditation.
Without physical contact.
Michael Bolton playing in some Sting.
It'll be a 4-hour episode.
We'll end up naked and sweaty just sitting here.
Let's go. Fact 4 from Brie.
So following on from your nocturnal emissions, more is more. Actually, it's unrelated at all. But as we know, dreams occur in the rapid eye movement phase of sleep, and studies indicate that prioritising sleep and regulating your sleep patterns, you will dream more and have better recall. So it seems pretty obvious. So if you're like me, they say that people dream a lot more than they remember. I feel like I dream maybe once every few weeks or once a month or something, and other people will say, oh, no, I dream every night. So if you're wanting to increase your dreaming capacity, there were some basic tips were to introduce a sleep schedule. Don't drink caffeine or smoke late in the day. That kind of seems obvious. Avoid alcohol at night. That's a bit of a shitty rule, and encourages daytime drinking, which...
Yeah, have it for breakfast.
Yeah,
Easy
that's
switch.
right.
Stop making
Minister.
excuses.
Regular exercise, creating an ideal sleep environment, so having a dark room. And if you can't sleep, don't lie in bed awake, which I didn't realise was a tip. So general REM is about 20 to 25% of our total sleep. If you incorporate those changes and really focus on a sleep schedule, you can increase your REM to a possible 40%. Mm-hmm. And that's without increasing the overall sleep time. So it just allows your brain to be in that REM state for a longer period, therefore statistically increasing dream rates and then recall capabilities of it.
Right.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
And then if you can lucid dream, woo!
Sleep's funny, isn't it, when you go to bed? Because it's like you go to bed and lie there and pretend to be asleep until you actually are.
Hours.
Yeah.
Does it take you hours to get off? How does it?
No, I think it's about 7 minutes for me.
Wow.
You have
7
kids.
minutes.
Yeah, they have a child.
Yeah,
I mean, me too. But ADHD has got my brain just riddled.
So-
I'll just, if I am not occupying myself with reading or watching something, and that whole blue light before bed, like Andrew Huberman being like, you cut out all light, you block it. I was like, dude, I can't do your protocol. Because if I'm sit there with my own thoughts, your boy is thinking about like, how high could I bounce a ball on the moon if I went about like stupid stuff that will then occupy me on a rabbit hole.
Okay, where are we? Are we on fact 4 for
Last fact. My fact is a short and sharp one. This one. Fact 4 from me. So the REM sleep is critical to cement motor pathways. So if you are trying to learn something that is a motor pattern, a dance, you're trying to learn sign language, you're trying to learn a piano, guitar, something like that nature, a game as well. If you're playing a video game and you're trying to do a particular sort of move or something in that game and you're just struggling and you've been doing it all day or the day before or whatever, have a sleep. And when you wake up, this is not a fact. This is just a canned bullshit stat of, 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to do it based on my experience as well, particularly. And it's because that motor pathway gets reinforced while you sleep, and deep sleep or REM sleep is typically when that happens. So it's a lot to be said for taking a break and having a nap if you're trying to learn something that is, a motor pathway, physically demanding.
I like that.
Fact 4 from Cam, naps are good.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Okay, let's go on to fact 4 from Charlotte.
Okay. So I saved my favorite for last. So this is another recent theory based on brain activity and what happens in your brain while you sleep. It's called defensive activation theory. Anyone's heard of that? So basically, in a nutshell, when you sleep, you don't use your eyes. So your brain assumes that you've gone blind. So it tries to rewrite itself.
Wow.
Yeah. So a dream is literally something that the brain creates to protect your visual cortex. So what? Your eyes. Oh, I'm really good at speaking today. So essentially plays a little movie so that little part of your brain is being used. Stimulated. Yeah.
Right.
So the brain doesn't come in and say, oh, this isn't being used. I'm going to bulldoze it. It's protect
what's
your
it
brain
called?
from itself. It's a defensive activation theory.
So it's defending against atrophy by using it, and
Yeah.
activating it.
That makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense.
But is it true?
Isn't
Yeah.
true?
So this is a physiological thing or a
Yes.
psychological thing?
Well, it's a physiological thing.
Okay. So
Like
they're saying-
it's a new branch of study, but they think that's part of it at least. So
we know nothing.
nothing, but
That's what
Just
I
like
found.
every topic we've picked so far, bar sugar.
And space. And with the space, I'm questioning whether we actually do know all that stuff or it's just Brian Cox. And we're like, yeah, we believe you, Brian, but he could be talking absolute bullshit.
Who wouldn't believe him?
Okay, so we have come to the end of the facts. That was a good session. I like that.
it was fun.
Okay, now it's time to ferret out the lies. So I'll go first. I'll give you a rundown and then you guys hash it out. Fact 1 from me was lucid dreamers have larger prefrontal cortexes. Fact 2 was nightmares are more likely to occur when the moon is full. Fact 3, daydreaming and sleep dreaming both involve the activation of the default mode network. And fact 4, 38% of women and 83% of men have had at least one wet dream in their lifetime. What's the lie?
I'm going to run with your. See, I think the moonlight thing's rubbish, but in a prehistoric sense, perhaps true. But have humans ever really slept in the elements? We've always sought shelter as part of our hierarchy of needs. And in today's society, like who is affected by the moon? Like most people sleep under a roof. I don't think it's relevant to today's society, and I think we've always probably sought shelter. It may to an extent, but I don't think the extent you're talking about. So I'm going to call you out on that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I agree.
I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon wagon as well.
Okay,
There's a
well,
wagon.
I can tell you that 38% of women is incorrect. It's actually, no, I'm bullshitting you, it's the moon.
It's the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting, more reports of dreams and nightmares are reported around the full moon. But and the moonlight does raise melatonin levels. But there's no correlation. They haven't been able to draw.
I think it would be more qualitative data about, similar with the hospitals and the hospitality about everyone being crazy
Yeah, because
at a full moon.
they're looking for that result.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
that
looking for a
confirmation
reason.
bias.
Yes, that correlation.
It's that
Yes.
11-11.
Yeah. Yeah.
So well done, guys. You sussed me out.
Okay. All right. My recap: lucid dreaming also. Definitely colourful, about deaf people having more colourful and vivid dreams. Blindingly obvious that blind people do still have visuals in their dream, and that to dream more, you need to getting more sleep is linked to getting more dreams.
Okay. 1 and 4 are correct. So it's a toss-up between the blind man and the deaf man. It also sounds like the start of a joke.
I was about to say a definite blind man walk into a bar. No, for me, I recall reading something about a blind person still being able to dream and things occurring, but they weren't blind from birth.
Okay.
They were blind very shortly after birth. The deaf stuff, I lean into that being true because your senses are heightened if you are deaf. All your other senses, particularly olfactory, your scent is already very strong for most humans, but is
As is yours.
So this is a difficult one. You've kind of put us in a place because I believe 1 and 4 are also true. Do you think 1 and 4 are true? The fourth being get better quality sleep by doing stuff that's good for sleep.
Yeah, I think that's. No, I think you've embellished the deaf one, so my money's on that one.
I'm going to go blind.
Okay.
Yes.
My mum always said if I keep touching your head.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with, I'm so conflicted here. I'm going to go with the deaf one. I think maybe it's a bit hyped up. I lean into it being true. I think there are parts of it that are true.
Okay.
Yeah, deaf one. BS.
Okay. I can confirm that you're all wrong. More is more. Strange but true. Less sleep means more dreams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
okay.
So a 2005 study indicated that losing 30 minutes of REM sleep one night leads to a 35% increase the next night. So dream intensity has been shown to be increased with sleep deprivation.
Right.
Alcohol and nicotine both repress REM, which we talked about, along with your blood pressure meds and antidepressants. So when you come off them, because you've been deprived for so long, then
That's why you go into, that's why you get the
But a word of caution, in the studies conducted on rats, when robbed of REM sleep for 4 weeks, they all died.
Yeah, that's a genetic
And you touched
condition.
on that. But other scientists said, well, that's only been shown in rats. No other species in any sleep study have shown there's been no correlation. I mean, there's still no direct correlation drawn between deprivation of REM and the eventual death.
Cam, can you give us a rundown of your
So
facts?
fact one was sleep paralysis, so your friendly sleep paralysis demon, and that is occurring when you are going in and out of sleep. The second one was our boy Josh Pike with his song Monkey with a Drum, and that he actually wrote this, which is interesting because a lot of dreams actually don't have any auditory component to them. The third is that the inceptophrenia, which is a physiological state and it's a psychological condition where you actually can't distinguish between reality or your dream. And the fourth is that your motor neural pathways are reinforced during your dreams or during sleep, but dreams being a very core part of that. So if you want to learn a piano song, just have naps in between your practices.
I don't know. I'm torn at the moment.
Well,
Like Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what are you thinking?
I'm not quite sure. I was leaning towards the last one, the motor neurons, but I know that like that's how you process and learn new skills. Like they're cemented into your neurons and all that while you sleep.
but is our dreams all just nonsense as well?
Well, they might be. I don't know. You guys discuss while I think.
Okay, well, number one sounds plausible. I have no idea about Josh Pike, so that could be a total big red herring lie.
But it seems odd to throw in a fact about a pop culture and have that as a lie. I don't know.
Or maybe he threw it in there because he knew that we'd all be reading about the psychology of dreams and the psychopathy of dreams. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'll just throw this one in there.
I went real meta on this.
Yet again, with the sleep on, it makes sense to me playing Beat Saber, but I don't know if sleep is really responsible for that or whether it's just my motor skills remembering it from the day before. And what was the third one? The third one was...
Is inceptophrenia. So that's
Inceptophrenia.
where you actually can't distinguish between, it's like a medical condition where you're having a psychosis sort of episode. You don't know if you're dreaming or not.
Well, I'm going to go... I know nothing about Josh Pike, but it's like Bree said, it would be unusual to throw one in there. I'm going for number 3.
Inceptophrenia.
Inceptophrenia.
Yeah, I'm going the
Yeah.
same because the other 3 I feel like I can explain. And I read that as far as scientists understand that the purpose of dreaming is to reinforce motor skills, intellectual information you've gathered through that day, reorganizing your brain. It goes through a sort of shuffling to sort of, okay, that information can go there, that can go there. And we know that sleep is so critical for babies for that brain development and growth. So that makes sense to me. Josh Pike, I think, is true. And I did read that sleep paralysis is in that state where your brain's woken up from your dream. Your brain is conscious, but your body's not. And so your brain is trying to find a reason why your body's not moving, and then it creates that visual stimulus of the demon. Number 3. Just because I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I think you just go completely insane.
Yeah.
Really quickly if that happens.
Have you looked at our society? There could be a few people walking around with it.
So not being able to distinguish between reality and a dream is a medical condition. It is not called inceptophrenia. It is called oneirofrenia, oneirofrenia. And it's a state where a person becomes confused about the distinction between dream state and reality.
Okay, and let's go for Charlotte. Give us your rundown.
Okay, so my first one was the ancient civilizations' beliefs that dreams were messages from God. My second one was the birth of psychoanalysis with Freud and Jung, how they decided it was more an internal thing. It was all going on in your head and everything's about dick or your mum, of course.
Well, that's Freud. Jung isn't Dick and Mum.
No, he was like, oh, there's a bit more to life than just dicks.
Yeah.
Third one was neuroscience, of that its dreams are just the electrical processing of your daily experiences and memories from your hippocampus into the other areas of the brain. So it's just the brain fuzz that you're sort of seeing as the interference. And the last one was defensive activation theory.
So mine's either the first or the fourth. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. First of
All
all,
religions is a very broad brush because
is.
we know that Catholicism was not invented by that. It was invented purely to make a lot of property around the world.
But it was foisted by that.
Interesting thing is there's a flood myth with all of these religions.
Yes.
All the religions and all the ancient societies have the flood myth, which is going into the conspiracy territory with Graham.
and the modern term for the flood myth is nocturnal emission.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know if it's the dreams or if it's the fourth one about your brain going to shrink.
I mean,
you can't see things.
The fourth one is interesting if it's true, but I've never heard anything about it. And doing the research for this, but if it's new research, I may not have.
Not as learned as me.
This is
I'm
true,
much
and I
more
was reading
intelligent.
Freud, but it's like Cam says, saying all religions and all societies are based on
Dreams.
dreams. I mean, part of it's possibly true because that really, religions are, the
Fanciful.
they're the fairy tales of, sorry, America. Are the fairy tales of stories that we told, and one could imagine that dreams were a way to
Explain.
and
External.
reinforce that. Look, I'm going with 4 just because I haven't heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the exact same boat. I have read that dreams were the basis of religions, but that's a big call saying all of them, but then all religions came from one religion. So, if that stemmed and then they broke off into branches of evil Catholicism and all sorts, then
Flying spaghetti monster.
yeah. But then, number 4 sounds a bit wild, but atrophy, what other defense does your body go into? Like muscle atrophy, your body doesn't automatically, you've got to work at it. If you've got it,
Blind
the body's
people
not.
don't have any physical atrophy of any part of their brain. They have decreased activation, but they still have activation.
Yes.
Places.
But that's how the brain restructures it, though, because the visual cortex, that is how they imagine things and perceive things in a visual sense. So that's why when you're asleep, because you're not using your eyes, your brain thinks, oh, shit, I don't have any eyes anymore. So it might try to restructure it thinking you've gone blind.
I hear that. I'm just sus on the defensive activation theory.
Yeah, I'm going number 4.
But I'm also sus on number 1. I'm really torn here because I actually think that number 1 is like who's saying this is a fact, because it's not a fact. It's just a
Well, so
wild
everything's a theory.
speculation.
I bet, but that's every subject we've talked about on this podcast is theory.
It's true. Okay. All right. I'm going 4. I haven't heard of it. Been Googling a bit.
444. You're all wrong. Yeah, it's really recent, but they are actually looking into studies for it. It sounds ridiculous, but that's why I loved it. Now you have the first one.
Yeah.
Like it's-
first one. It makes
You can
sense.
see, you can see how a lot of them would have stemmed from like the mystical element of dreams. But yeah, I made that up.
So interesting. So basically, Cam and I got called out completely, and you two didn't, which kind of proves that men aren't as duplicitous as the female of the species.
Men are stupid.
Beautiful. Well,
Trustworthy.
That was an interesting
And
episode.
only one fact off.
Interesting episode. All that's left to say is thank you to Brie,
Sleep tight.
Cam,
Thank you.
and Charlotte.
Woo!
I've been Kieren. Next episode of I Know Fact All About That is a very special one. Make sure you tune in for it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.